Welcome back. How was your day at work today? Lie down on the bed and let me tell you some terrifying bear attack stories. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Ab Story 1. The dense forests and rugged terrain of the Montana wilderness are a haven for hunters seeking both solitude and adventure. But for 46-year-old James Peters, a seasoned hunter from Billings, this hunt would turn into a nightmare of unimaginable horror. On October 18, 2017, Peters set out for a solo hunting trip in a remote area, a place he had visited before, confident in his knowledge of the land and its dangers. Little did he know that the very wilderness he revered was about to deliver a harsh and terrifying reminder of nature's unpredictable power. When Peters didn't return to his truck by the expected time, his family began to grow concerned. As hours passed, then days, the search for him grew urgent. It wasn't until a group of local hunters reported finding his vehicle parked on a remote access road that the search intensified. The hunters, knowing the area well, were quick to alert authorities, who responded immediately. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks officers, along with local search and rescue teams, began scouring the forest near where Peters had been last seen. It wasn't long before they found a grim clue. A trail of disturbed ground led them to a site approximately 200 meters, 660 feet, from Peters' truck. The scene, marked by broken branches and the unmistakable signs of a struggle, pointed to the kind of violent confrontation hunters fear but rarely face. The remains of James Peters were found nearby, eerily silent in the vast wilderness that should have been his escape. Investigators and wildlife experts, piecing together the clues at the scene, confirmed that the marks and signs of the attack were unmistakable. A grizzly bear had been responsible. The autopsy revealed what had taken place in those final moments of Peters' life. His body bore the brutal marks of a grizzly bear's claws, a testament to the raw and overwhelming power of these apex predators. The following weeks were filled with unease as authorities worked to track down the bear responsible for the attack. The animal was elusive, moving through the dense brush and thick forest. By spring, a grizzly bear fitting the description of the one involved in the attack was located and captured. The bear was later euthanized, a difficult decision made by wildlife authorities in an effort to ensure the safety of other outdoor enthusiasts. The necropsy confirmed the bear's involvement in the tragic incident. Peters' tragic experience sent shockwaves through the local community and the broader hunting community. Hunters, outdoor enthusiasts, and locals alike understood the risks of venturing into bear country, but this event served as a stark reminder of how quickly even the most well-prepared individuals can find themselves in the most dangerous of situations. Grizzly bears, especially during the fall, are in a heightened state of aggression. They are feeding aggressively to prepare for hibernation, and they are particularly sensitive when it comes to protecting their food sources and territories. In this case, it's believed that Peters unknowingly ventured too close to the bear's domain, perhaps startled the animal, or possibly even stumbled into its path as it was foraging. Bears, despite their imposing size, typically avoid humans when they can. But a bear in the throes of hunger or defending its space can become a formidable and terrifying adversary. Additionally, it's essential to remain aware of your surroundings at all times. Bears are most active during dawn and dusk, and they may be attracted to the scent of food, especially if it's improperly stored. Never approach a bear, even from a distance. If you do encounter one, make sure you back away slowly without turning your back, as running can trigger a predatory response. Story 2. The wild, untamed forests of Alaska have long been known for their rugged beauty. But beneath the towering trees and shadowed trails lies an ever-present danger that few truly understand. For Louis Carlson, a miner who had lived in the remote wilderness for years, this harsh land was both a livelihood and a home. He was no stranger to the challenges of the wild. Yet, nothing could have prepared him for the horrific encounter that would change his life forever. It was a quiet afternoon in June 2014, when Louis's car broke down on a remote forestry road located deep within the Alaskan interior. With no one around for miles and the closest town hours away, Louis decided to begin the long walk back to his gold mining camp, located a few miles away. The day had started like any other, with the hum of nature around him, but as he walked alone through the wilderness, that serene atmosphere quickly shifted. The forests surrounding him were dense, the ground soft with the moisture of recent rain. Louis knew this area well. He had walked it countless times over the years. But that afternoon, something felt different. The air seemed heavier, the silence more profound, as if nature itself was holding its breath. Little did he know, just ahead, a mother grizzly and her 2 cubs were about to alter the course of his life in a horrifying and unthinkable way. Grizzly bears are often seen as a symbol of strength, their imposing size and raw power intimidating to anyone who comes across them in the wild. But despite their fearsome reputation, bears are generally peaceful creatures, avoiding humans when they can. However, when a mother bear feels threatened, especially when she has her cubs in tow, she will defend them with everything she has. This is exactly what happened on that fateful afternoon. Louis was walking along the road, unaware of the danger lurking in the trees just off the trail. The sow and her 2 cubs had been foraging nearby, and they likely picked up Louis' scent, sensing a possible threat. Grizzly mothers are hyper-protective of their cubs, and when the sow perceived Louis as a potential danger, she didn't hesitate. Within moments, the tranquility of the forest was shattered by the sudden appearance of the bear and her cubs. The sow, massive and powerful, charged toward Louis with terrifying speed. Her cubs, small but agile, followed close behind. Louis, caught off guard and overwhelmed by the sheer speed of the attack, barely had time to react before the bear was upon him. He attempted to fight back, throwing his backpack and anything he could grab in a desperate attempt to ward off the charging grizzly. But his efforts were in vain. The mother bear was too fast, too strong, and too determined to protect her young. The attack was swift and brutal, and Louis was unable to escape. His cries were swallowed by the dense forest, and as quickly as it had begun, the attack ended. The sow and her cubs retreated into the underbrush, leaving Louis injured and alone in the wilderness. His body was discovered several hours later by a search party that had been sent out when he failed to return to camp. Wildlife authorities soon confirmed that the injuries Louis sustained were consistent with a grizzly bear attack. They speculated that the mother bear had perceived Louis as a threat to her cubs and had acted out of instinct, charging him with the ferocity that only a mother protecting her young can muster. The cubs, too young to be involved in the attack but no less part of the incident, likely contributed to the bear's aggression by staying close to their mother during the confrontation. The incident left the community in shock, with many questioning what could have been done differently to prevent the attack. Louis had been an experienced outdoorsman and had worked in Alaska's wilderness for years. Yet, even the most seasoned adventurers can find themselves vulnerable when a grizzly bear feels threatened. The remoteness of the forestry road and the suddenness of the attack made it impossible for Louis to defend himself effectively. Story 3. The vast, wild expanse of Alaska's North Slope is a place where few venture, its remote beauty offering a tranquil escape for those brave enough to explore. For the Huffman family, it was a chance to immerse themselves in the raw wilderness along the Hula Hula River, about 12 miles upriver from Kaktovik. They were no strangers to camping in the Alaskan wild, but their serene adventure would soon turn into an unimaginable nightmare, one that would leave the local community shaken and forever alter their lives. It was late summer 2017 when the Huffmans, a couple with decades of experience in the wilderness, set up camp along the riverbank. The landscape around them was vast and beautiful, the river flowing calmly in front of their tent, with the northern lights faintly visible in the evening sky. Everything seemed idyllic, and as the night descended, they settled in for a peaceful sleep, unaware that they would soon face a terror far beyond their worst nightmares. Around midnight, the tranquility of the campsite was shattered. The Huffmans were suddenly awoken by the crushing weight of a grizzly bear, its enormous paws ripping into the sides of their tent. The bear had likely smelled the scent of food or heard the movements of the couple as they settled in for the night. It's unclear what initially provoked the bear's attack, but once the animal made its move, there was no turning back. Inside the tent, the Huffmans fought to defend themselves, but they were no match for the ferocity and strength of the bear, who tore through the canvas with ease. The bear's claws and teeth shredded through the thin fabric of the tent, its massive head poking through the opening as it lunged toward them. In those few moments, the couple's world turned into a blur of confusion, fear, and survival instinct. It's believed that the bear's aggressive behavior was likely the result of a surprise encounter in close quarters, with the bear either feeling threatened by their presence or drawn by the smell of food. By the time the bear withdrew, the Huffmans were left with deep, life-altering injuries. They barely managed to escape the attack, scrambling out of the tent and into the wilderness in a frantic bid to flee. In the chaos, the couple was separated, one desperately trying to make it to safety, while the other tried to help. Their attempts to flee were met with further pursuit as the bear continued its terrifying assault. 2 days later, a group of rafters traveling down the Hula Hula River stumbled upon the site. At first, they thought they were witnessing an ordinary campsite, but the scene quickly turned ominous when they realized the bear was still in the area, lingering nearby. The rafters' 3 men, who had set out for their own journey, realized the danger they were in and tried to escape. But the bear wasn't done. It charged after them, chasing them down the riverbank for over half a mile, 800 miles, its enormous paws splashing through the water as it relentlessly pursued its prey. The rafters, desperate to evade the bear, paddled with all their might, only managing to escape after an exhausting and terrifying chase. As soon as the rafters reached a safe distance, they called for help. The Alaska State Troopers and local authorities quickly arrived, investigating the scene. It wasn't long before a North Slope Borough police officer made the grim decision to shoot and kill the bear, which was still near the campsite, displaying aggressive behavior. A necropsy confirmed the bear's involvement in the earlier attack, a chilling reminder of how unpredictable and dangerous wildlife can be when they feel threatened or desperate. The bear, a large male grizzly, had clearly been protecting its territory or had possibly become accustomed to humans. Such encounters are rare, but far from unheard of, especially in remote areas where bears and humans share space. The Huffmans, meanwhile, were lucky to be alive, though their injuries were severe enough to require immediate medical attention. They were eventually rescued and airlifted to a nearby hospital, where they received care for their injuries. The incident left them physically scarred, but the emotional trauma would linger far longer. In the aftermath, local officials and wildlife experts were left grappling with the larger question of how to prevent such attacks in the future. Grizzly bears are known to be territorial, especially in the breeding season or when food is scarce. But attacks like this are often a result of surprise encounters or an animal's instinct to protect its young or resources. In this case, the bear had likely been surprised by the Huffman's presence at close range, reacting out of instinct and fear. Story 4. On a bright sunny morning in late June 2018, 3 friends set out for a jog along the Bench Trail, a popular and scenic route nestled in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies. It was meant to be an ordinary outing, exercise, conversation, and the enjoyment of the fresh mountain air. But for 31-year-old Jessica Dubé, this routine jog would become a nightmare from which she would never wake up. The Bench Trail, a well-known path near the town of Claremore, is frequented by hikers, joggers, and cyclists. At the time of the attack, the trail was officially closed to the public, as local authorities had warned of increased bear activity in the area. Despite the closure, the trio of friends, unaware of the risks, chose to go ahead with their plans that morning. They had jogged this route many times before, but that day would turn into one of the most harrowing experiences any of them could imagine. It wasn't long after they began their jog that the terrifying sound of rustling in the underbrush broke the calm of the morning. Before the group could fully process what was happening, a large grizzly bear appeared from the trees, charging directly at them. The bear, a massive adult male, was likely startled by their presence, but it quickly turned into a predator with one goal in mind: attack. In that instant, fear overtook Jessica and her friends, and they did what most would in such a situation. They tried to escape. Jessica and her friends fled in panic, but the bear was faster, its massive claws tearing through the underbrush as it closed the distance between them. In a desperate attempt to protect herself, Jessica scrambled up a tree, hoping the elevation would provide some safety from the bear's wrath. Her friends, in a moment of horrifying clarity, ran for help, desperate to escape the sight of the bear's attack. However, the bear had other plans. It circled the tree for a few moments, likely growling and swiping at the trunk, before it made its move. With terrifying strength, the bear climbed the tree, pulling Jessica down with brutal force. As the bear dragged her from her refuge, it began its attack in earnest. Despite her friends' desperate attempts to get help, they were too far away to intervene. By the time they returned, it was too late to save Jessica from the bear's savage assault. The bear, after dragging Jessica from the tree and overpowering her, continued its brutal attack. Meanwhile, local authorities had been alerted to the situation, and wildlife officers were dispatched immediately to the scene. Tragically, by the time they arrived, Jessica had already succumbed to her injuries. The circumstances surrounding this tragic event were all the more chilling because just days before the attack, the bear had been relocated from the Canmore area to Banff National Park. Officials had moved the bear after reports of increased sightings and behavior that suggested it was becoming habituated to human activity. Despite the relocation, the bear had managed to find its way back, leading to the fatal encounter on the Bench Trail. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the local community and beyond, with many questioning how such an attack could occur, even after the warnings and closure of the trail. The unsettling truth was that this bear was likely acting out of instinct, its behavior likely driven by hunger, territorial instincts, or the presence of its cubs, though the full motivations would never be known for certain. Authorities issued reminders about the importance of respecting wildlife warnings and following trail closures, especially in areas where bears had been sighted or relocated. Wildlife experts emphasized that while bear attacks are rare, they can occur when humans unknowingly venture too close to bears, particularly when they feel threatened, surprised, or provoked. Bears, especially grizzly bears, are powerful creatures and capable of incredible speed and aggression when they sense danger or a potential food source. This tragedy serves as a stark reminder to anyone venturing into bear country. Always heed the warnings, respect the boundaries set by authorities, and take all necessary precautions to minimize the risk of an encounter. In areas where bears are present, bear spray should always be carried and easily accessible. It's a proven deterrent that has saved countless lives. Additionally, never hike or jog alone in bear territory, and always make noise to alert bears to your presence so you don't startle them. Finally, make sure to store all food, trash, and camping supplies securely, away from the reach of curious bears. Story 4. Story 5. In the remote wilderness of southeast Alaska, where towering trees stretch toward the sky and mist often clings to the mountainsides, there exists a world of breathtaking beauty. But beneath this peaceful exterior lies the raw, untamed power of nature, where survival is a constant battle. For 41-year-old William Tullos, a seasoned outdoorsman, his journey into the wild would end in the most terrifying and unpredictable way. It was late summer 2019 when Tullos, an experienced camper and hiker, set up camp near the Canada-US border. The campground was located in one of the most isolated corners of southeast Alaska, a place where few venture and where wildlife roams freely. Tullos was used to the rugged landscape, having spent many years exploring the Alaskan wilderness. He knew the risks, including the potential for bear encounters, but that did little to prepare him for what was about to unfold. On the night of August 17, Tullos was alone at his campsite, nestled in the dense forest near a remote creek. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the distant sounds of rushing water. Everything seemed peaceful. The campground was typically quiet, offering visitors a serene retreat from the outside world. But unknown to Tullos, a large predator was nearby, a grizzly bear, likely searching for food in the area. Bears, particularly in the late summer months, are driven by hunger as they prepare for winter hibernation, and they will often travel long distances in search of food sources. As the night settled in, Tullos went to sleep inside his tent, unaware that a bear was closing in on his campsite. Grizzly bears are territorial and highly protective of their space, especially when food is scarce. The bear, possibly drawn by the scent of food or the presence of Tulo's campsite, made its move. It's unclear exactly what prompted the bear to attack, but what followed was a terrifying and brutal encounter. When rescuers later arrived at the campsite, the scene was haunting. Tulo's partially consumed body was found in the woods near the campground. The bear had clearly attacked him in the night, and the signs were unmistakable. A violent struggle, the bear likely driven by hunger, possibly mistaking the tent for an easy food source. Despite Tulo's efforts to defend himself or escape, he was overwhelmed by the sheer strength of the predator. Local authorities were quickly notified, and Alaska state troopers along with wildlife officers arrived at the scene. They found the bear, still nearby, acting aggressively. In response to the threat, they shot and killed the bear, which was later determined to have been involved in the attack. After conducting a necropsy, it was confirmed that the bear was a mature male grizzly, likely hungry and possibly habituated to human campsites, a factor that contributed to its aggressive behavior. The chilling discovery of Taulos's body sent shockwaves through the local community. Though bear attacks are rare, they are not unheard of in this region, where bears often come into contact with humans. The sad reality is that bears are wild animals, driven by instincts to feed, protect their territory, and ensure their survival. And sometimes, these instincts clash with human activities. The tragedy also highlighted a more troubling truth. Despite the precautions in place to keep bears and humans apart, the wilderness remains a dangerous place, where the unpredictability of nature reigns supreme. This incident was made even more unsettling by the fact that Tulos had followed all the necessary precautions. His campsite was set up according to safety guidelines, and the area had been considered a relatively safe place to camp. The attack took place despite these efforts, serving as a harsh reminder that no one is ever completely immune from the dangers of the wild, especially when dealing with apex predators like grizzly bears. The Alaska Department of Fish and Game and other local authorities were quick to emphasize the importance of safety measures when camping or hiking in bear country. While grizzly bear attacks are rare, it's vital to understand that bears, especially during certain times of the year, can be highly unpredictable. The late summer months are particularly dangerous, as bears prepare for hibernation and are actively foraging to build up fat stores. They may become more aggressive when they feel threatened or when food is scarce. If you found this video insightful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for the latest videos on wildlife safety, survival tips, and fascinating animal stories. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next one.